The technicians that I worked with were great. They did on-the-spot training with me and got us up and running really quickly, actually. I'm Reese McPherson, and I'm a senior associate with MSR Design. MSR Design is a leading national architectural practice firm. We were getting a number of complaints from staff talking about the overall quality of the air in our space. And so we began to kind of measure that. So I created a series of little Tamagotchi pets that I had kind of around the office, a little series of sensors, kind of looking at how our space was doing, and we found that we were actually having a number of problems there. So we did a series of kind of deep dives and trying to then create a pathway forward for how we were going to address those concerns in our new space. In our new space, we decided to really focus on human health and well-being and really live our values in our space. And that began looking at everything from our material palette to the indoor air quality, to the lighting, kind of really tying kind of all of those elements together in our space, with looking at how we were thinking of incorporating the Living Building Challenge into our project and really living those values and asking the question, what does good look like? We felt it was really important to look at the materials Petal in a really deep dive of looking at red list free compliance, looking at toxicity issues, looking at transparency, and really wanting a really great working environment for our staff. Discovered 75F through a previous working relationship on another project with the PPL Learning Center, and that was a really interesting kind of pairing of trying to deal with a series of disparate systems that didn't want to talk to each other, and also dealing with energy concerns there. And so I was really impressed with how the system kind of came together with dealing with those concerns. In our own space, we wanted to kind of elevate that and take it to the next level. And by taking it to the next level, we wanted to really look at VOC levels, we wanted to look at our carbon dioxide levels, again, pairing with the acoustics in the space and measuring that. We're also looking at glare and other things too, kind of a total human environment. During construction, one of the things we were doing in our space was we were using a prototype of 75F in that we were using a series of the sensors in the space before the space was actually completed, because we wanted to really measure the indoor air quality of the space during construction to verify that the space was clean, which would also help with commissioning and kind of advancing kind of our goals of a clean indoor air environment. And one of the things that kind of emerged was in the evenings, well after midnight, when the main system had kind of shut down, is that we were finding that the space was getting an overload of CO2 in it that was actually backdrafting back into the space from the roof top units. And so I started kind of getting these alarm sets like 2, 3 in the morning, wondering what's going on. So what was kind of interesting about that was that we were able then to send that to the building owner and the management team, kind of show the data, show exactly what was going on, and because they did not have a building automation system for the whole building, we were able to then act as kind of their in-between, and they were able to kind of quickly correct the problem, which is great because we're an 11-story building, and so that was affecting the other tenants in the space as well. And so it was one of I think a really good kind of happy outcome that came about. Some of the specialty kind of connection items, of course, are the fabric ducts with the 75F dampers. There was a lot of special tuning that occurred to kind of make that happen. We also have a series of exhaust points that are in our space for our laser cutter, and then also our 3D printer areas, and then our plot area. And so those are kind of tied to some specialty kind of sensors that are dealing with exhaust. So the 75F components that we have in our space are a series of the 75F dampers, the 75F smart nodes, the smart stats. We also have the, paired with that is the VOC sensors, the CO2. It's also reading kind of our acoustic levels in the space. And at the air handler units, I know that there's also a series of sensors in there that are also reading the CO2. So it's a very sophisticated system. It's working off of our Wi-Fi, and it pairs together really, really well and very, very easy to operate. The submittal process with 75F was a little bit different in this case because we were going for the Living Building Challenge. We had to work very closely with 75F to do a lot of disclosure. So there was material disclosure, there was cost of all of those specific items, there was material tracking, where did it come from, who made it, how was it put together. We had to kind of work together on the submittal, kind of a little bit different, more intimate kind of disclosure process on there. The folks at 75F were great. We were able to kind of get all of the ROHS information, verifying that indeed kind of all of the materials that went into the making of 75F was indeed a safe and disclosed and transparent process. The overall shop drawings and kind of the beginning installation, we had several conversations about how to best pair and enhance the fabric ducts and kind of the layout and some of the existing systems. During the installation, it went extremely smooth. The technicians that I worked with were great. They did on-the-spot training with me and got us up and running really quickly, actually. Occupant feedback was actually fantastic. The first day that we moved in, during all of that, everyone was like amazed at how quiet the space was. They said when they would open the door, they could actually feel the difference in the air quality. The minute you walked in and opened the doors, you could really feel the difference in the air. Yes, I would definitely do this again in a heartbeat, and I actually look forward to kind of all of the new beta testing and all the new things that 75F is developing at this time.